Good evening. I'm Dr. Basil Considine. I'm here from the ACU Online Writing Center, and today we're going to be talking about how to write a grounded analysis. Now, as with many of our webinars, we're going to be using a specific assignment that's taught at ACU for our example here. So here are our learning objectives today. We're going to discuss the concept of grounded analysis, what it is, and how to go about creating one. We're going to look at an assignment that asks you to analyze something and not analyze it off the cuff, making up the criteria as you go along, but to use a specific source, a book, or a set of requirements within a book or standards within the book to grade something and how to plan out how to write that. So let's start out by talking about the concept of grounded analysis. What is it? Well, this is a method of discussing something, of analyzing, of assigning meaning or importance. And we use this to provide insight into the thing of interest. What that is can vary tremendously. It could be a phenomenon, an institution, it could be a festival, it could be a government office, it could be a profession, an activity, and more. But the key thing is that we're using something with a standard, a principle, a scoring sheet, a rubric, a theory, an artifact, or some combination of the above to substantiate or ground what we are doing and to guide the judgments and statements that we make about what something means and how it is important. Now, there's a whole lot more you can do, but let's start from the beginning. Put another way, grounded analysis is your way of saying, hey, I'm not making this up. I'm not being arbitrary. According to this other thing, this is what this thing means. Such as, oh, according to Kawasaki's 2024 criteria for an acute myocardial infarction, which is a way of describing a heart attack or a type of heart attack. According to Kawasaki's 2024 criteria for an acute myocardial infarction, a patient who presents to a hospital emergency department with X should be automatically evaluated for Y. Now, what things go into those boxes will vary depending on what you're talking about. And things like these phrases being used, whose criteria, that will vary. But the basic idea is you're pointing out here is what we're using as our comparison to create a point of objectivity, identifying the things that are being discussed and what that means. In this case, they should be automatically evaluated for that. Let's make that more concrete. Let's change that example slightly. According to Kawasaki's 2024 criteria for acute coronary syndrome, a patient who presents to a hospital emergency department with shortness of breath, sweating, and a low blood pressure should automatically be evaluated for a heart attack. All right. We could be talking about many other things and use a similar formula, but let's look at the next example. Aubrey, pseudonym, is at a sixth grade level of, let's go with a sixth grade level. Let's, for this example, Aubrey, pseudonym, is at a sixth grade level of verbal development. According to Singleton 2020, children at this level should be able to speak at length about complex topics such as X, Y, and Z. Aubrey demonstrates these qualifications by blah. Now, we could use the same formula to talk about something early. We could say, oh, Aubrey is at an age-appropriate level of development as a 2-year-old. According to Singleton, children at this age should be able to whatever they do, and then give specific examples. Aubrey demonstrates those by. Now, if we continue through here, we will find that we have an assignment that we've selected for you coming from our CSDO program. And this is the language sample analysis assignment. This is coming from a course on language development and disorders. And at a glance, you see we have laid out the instructions and the rubric for it. Let's break those down. Because the text on the left, we can clearly divide into a preamble, and we say, oh, a critical component of a language evaluation for a young child is a language sample analysis. This assignment provides an opportunity to practice calculating mean length of utterance and identifying structures present in a child language sample. Then we move into the actual instructions on what you're doing. And if we're looking at this screen here, it is where we get to this part here where we start seeing clear instructions. Read this, use this worksheet to do the things in it, and then write this analytical paragraph. Okay, well, let's break that down task by task. We have, okay, calculate the child's mean length of utterance. And within that discussion of the mean length of utterance, you need to score the morpheme count and show how you calculated the MLU. So write out the math. Now, also, you need to create a list of free morphemes and bound morphemes in the sample that you reviewed. And by contrast, list the grammatical morphemes that are not present or expected in the sample based on their age. And what this does is you go through the exercise of saying, okay, we are going to analyze what was said and how it was said. And from this, we'll get an idea, are they behind the curve, within the expected normal area, or ahead of it? And then the part that we're going to be focusing on here is this writing a 2 to 3 paragraph analysis describing a child's morphological and grammatical development. Within that analysis, you need to identify what stage of language development they're functioning at, talk about how this compares to the chronological age. Are they precocious, meaning they're doing things ahead of the normal expected time? And so normal expected, when we talk about the normal, if we're doing it in statistical terms, we have 68% roughly is the normal. And if we do 2 standard deviations, we're still talking about 95%. So there are outliers. How much of an outlier, or are they within that broad 68% middle range that we say, this is where most people fall? All right. And then you need to give examples and explain in depth. And then you're going to complete all of that together in the worksheet and upload it for the assignment. If we look at the rubric, it's saying, hey, you must do all of these. And leaving out one of these sections is going to be the difference between an A and a B or a C. So make sure you do everything here. Let's talk about that last part, the 2 to 3 paragraphs, because that's where we get most of the questions. And that is how we seg into this part. Because how you plan it out, if you know the formula that you're going to be using or the basic model, it becomes very easy to write. Because you are essentially making an argumentative paragraph that is designed to convince the reader of whatever your claim is or whatever your argument is. Now, at the college level writing that this course is, you're typically going to be giving your central claim or argument in a topic sentence at the start of the paragraph. If we're talking about a larger paper as a whole, then you might have a paragraph that leads into the topic sentence for the paper or the central thesis for the paper. But for this short thing, only 2 to 3 paragraphs, each of those paragraphs should really be starting with a topic sentence that lays out that claim. And if we look at the instructions, we see, describe the child's morphological and grammatical development. So you could start by separating those into different paragraphs. Now, when you are giving that claim, you want to back it up with And not just by saying, well, this is what it is. Give us evidence, convince your reader, and reason how it does or doesn't do that and what that means. And usually, especially for something like this, where you only have 2 or 3 paragraphs, make sure that you have a concluding sentence that either brings everything together and tells us new meaning, or restates the initial argument or claim, which will now land differently because the reader has seen your argument support that argumentation, the analysis, the evidence to back up your claim. So let's break that down here. If we're saying what goes into here, well, we need a topic sentence. Second, list the criterion that's being measured. Give us some evidence supporting that. And then you might give additional criterion and evidence or analysis or synthesis. And you might have some more new evidence to support this. And then wrap it up, give a statement about how these all fit together. Are you able to show that you have a strongly supported argument? Great. Remind the reader, show them how these fit together. For example, topic sentence. I rated Sally's morphological development as appropriate for a 3-year-old. Give us a criterion, the thing that you're measuring against. Oh, according to Singleton 2020, 3-year-olds should use past tense and ing inflections. Okay. Evidence supporting that criterion. So Singleton wrote that, but what has Sally done to demonstrate that? Oh, after returning from the bathroom, Sally said, I went to potty. Right? That's an example of past tense. You could be even more explicit and say, after returning from the bathroom, Sally showed her use of past tense when she said, I went to potty. And then give us something more, either dig into what that means or how it fits into a pattern, or give us additional evidence. Now, according to Singleton, 3-year-olds should use past tense and ing inflections. All right, so that's giving us those two things, past tense and ing. We just got the past tense. And now here's furthermore, okay, in addition to that thing mentioned earlier, during dinner, Sally also said, I'm eating. Eating's fun. Okay, so we now have additional stuff backing that up, and we can reinforce that she is hitting those age-appropriate things with the sentence like, she also said mommy is pretty, using is, which is another criterion. And then we cite Singleton 2020 again, because that's where the fact that that's another criterion is coming from. And then we can wrap this up with a statement that brings it all together and tells us, therefore, which means based on the things that were stated before, therefore, Sally meets multiple criteria for age-appropriate development. Now, when you're working on this, don't forget that you are being asked in almost every ACU course or ACU online course to use APA 7th edition. And if you look at the syllabus, and especially if you copy and paste from the syllabus, just remember that you're going to have to change this to APA 7th edition. And that's going to look like this. Singleton, N period, C period. Note that the first and middle name get abbreviated to initials, and that it's initial period space. Then we have the publication year 2020, close parentheses, and another period. There's a title, language development. Note that that is written in sentence case in APA 7th edition, not in title case like you see in the syllabus. We also don't italicize the addition information, the third ed part, in APA style, which helps us see that that's not part of the title itself. Then we have the name of the publisher, Jones and Bartlett Learning, also not italicized. And APA 7th edition doesn't include an ISBN number in your references list. So to recap, we looked at first understanding the concept of what grounded analysis is. Then we looked at this assignment, the language sample analysis assignment from CSDO 330. And then we talked about how to plan out grounded analysis writing. And here, I want you to keep in mind that when you organize a paragraph in this fashion, where you start with a clear topic sentence that's making your argument to your claim, and then you back it up with immediately with supporting information and tell us what that means or how it fits together. That's a great way to convince your reader or your audience that what you're saying is true. If you change the order or you give a lot of claims and then it takes a while to get back to them, that's usually not nearly as convincing as, oh, really? Why do you? Oh, okay, you have evidence to back that up. Great. All right, so so-and-so said that and she's done it. Okay, check. Let's move on. So the form of the paragraph, the organization of the paragraph, and what information you put in what order can really make a difference in convincing your reader that, yes, they should agree with your argument. All right, that's it for our main presentation. If you are watching this and you say, I would really love to get some help with my writing, awesome. If you're in almost any ACU Dallas or ACU online program, we're happy to work with you at the Online Writing Center. You can go to my.acu.edu and under Groups, select Online Writing Center to see a video about how to make an appointment. In general, you can make two types of appointments. You can sign up for an email appointment where you schedule a time using our online scheduling system. By the time that comes around, upload a copy of your paper and any special requests for feedback. We look at it and we send feedback to you by email in 24 hours. Now, you can also, if you want to ask your questions in real time, sign up for Zoom appointment. Same starting point, you go to the schedule, you sign up for a time, and upload a copy of your draft before that appointment time. But this time, you'll return to the scheduling system a few minutes before the appointment is supposed to start, and then you should see a Zoom link appear, and you'll click on that to get into your appointment. Now, if you have any other questions, please feel free to write us at onlinewritingcenter@acu.edu. You're welcome to schedule an appointment. Students can, and faculty and staff can all make appointments at the Online Writing Center, up to 2 per week, capacity permitting. And you can also drop into our online office hours, to our various writing clinics, and other sessions like that to get feedback on your writing. All right, that's it from me. Have a good night.